If you have the perfect idea and you have the perfect tool that works exactly how you want, but you don't have the AI culture, you're gonna get stuck. There's so many things we can do that can make our life easier. How can we change our product, services? How can we become different for our competitors?
The importance of knowledge management is never been as important as it is today.
Absolutely. It's a combination of science and arts. And it's by combining both that you get to the greatest solution. The genie is out of the bottle now. There's no way back, so we can only move forward. Changes are difficult. Some people, they don't want to change. They love the way they do things. And it's very hard to tell a company, today we need to change.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of our live sessions. Today, we're going to have a really interesting topic. We're going to be talking about practical insights for business leaders when making AI work. And to give you all a little bit of context, I have had the opportunity to meet with quite a few business leaders to talk about what are the challenges when implementing AI. We ran a few roundtables. We also did a little bit of research and published a white paper that is now available for download. And we thought it'd be very interesting to share the insights that came out of these conversations. And one of the people that came to the conversations was our special guest today, Johanna. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, hello, and thank you for inviting me today. So my name is Johanna Kolerski-Bezerra. I'm a project manager for Gen AI, which means my job is to understand how we can integrate more AI in our research workflow, research processes to boost productivity and drive innovations.
So your day-to-day is 100% focused on understanding how to use AI in the business.
Yeah, well, actually, the first step is not so much at this point to understand AI, but to understand the business itself, how the business works, what do we need, what are the business cases, what are the problems we're trying to solve, and then see how AI can help.
Something that we get a lot right now is organizations are seeing that software vendors are publishing a lot of AI capabilities within products. But then you have other things like Copilot, ChatGPT, OpenAI has its services, etc. And then there's a lot of tactical tools that different teams are using for different things. So business leaders have been tasked with with bringing AI into the business to improve the business. Are asking us, what should we do? Where can we start? Because we work directly with very large operational teams, either sales teams, marketing teams, customer service teams. And the vendors that we work with have a lot of very interesting products. It's natural for us to have this conversation. But also, there are some apprehensions around how to implement it or how to implement these products effectively. And to make sure that they deliver a return on investment. In what are you participated in these roundtables, and I think there was a lot of conversation around risk, right? I think a lot of people were quite concerned about just giving your information to the platforms. What is your take? What have you learned about managing the risk around AI?
Yes, it's true, actually. And we need to remember that AI is moving so fast and so quickly that it's really hard to keep up the pace. And when it comes to risk, there's a few. First, the one that tend to come up always is accuracy. It's not perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. You don't want something perfect because it's not a magic wand. So accuracy is one risk that keeps people sometime away from it. But actually, maybe this is something we want to embrace. Maybe we should not aim for accurate result. Maybe we should aim for results that help us to be more productive. So accuracy should not be our priority. During this roundtable, clearly the one aspect, the one risk that came out for that conversation was safety. We we heard a lot this word safety and privacy. How do we keep our data safe? And I think a lot of people were asking that same question. And it's a very good one because it's very tricky. How do we keep it safe? And maybe this is why companies like Microsoft Copilot tend to do so well in terms of implementing their product, and why companies tend to use it a lot. It's because they have this ecosystem where you can use your document, either Word document, PowerPoint, Excel, and so on, in that ecosystem, and it's safe because it keeps it in Microsoft 365. So this is a thing you need to, since this is the biggest worry, how do we keep our data safe? I think as a vendor or as a provider of an AI solution, that should be the first message they come up with. Because you can act on it as a company. There's a lot of solutions that could ensure safety.
Yeah, I think this is definitely an aspect that business leaders have to keep in mind. I think a lot of companies have just opened the doors to using all the tools that are out there, right? But not all the tools are created equal.
No.
I saw somewhere in a project where everybody in the business had been given access to ChatGPT, and they were using information from the business to, work on ChatGPT and get outputs, and then go back to the business environment. But that transition of information, nobody has control over what happens with that data and how that data is used and so forth. Apart from the fact that, if you're integrating AI tools into your internal systems, how do you prevent the system from generating inaccurate responses that may actually impact work? And probably at an internal level, when you use it for internal tasks, it might go unseen. But if you get used to just taking that information as, always accurate, and you take that for granted, it may accumulate into some fatal errors, right? So accuracy and, the holding the data in a secure environment are things that I think need to be taken quite seriously by people who are planning to put, business processes and business data into systems, right? How, in terms of understanding how to invest in these projects, part of the reasoning that, or the understanding that we got from the roundtables was to put AI tools or AI projects into 3 categories. And I think we talked about easy win systems, then systems of to optimize business processes to create differentiation or to create optimization, and then long-term transformation systems. You've been working with a few AI projects. How do you find these 3 concepts when taking them to practice?
So the 3 concepts, yes, and I think this is where we need to, there's a step-by-step process. There's a lot of application out there, and what to choose, how to choose, what works for us. The first thing is to understand the use cases. What do we need? What is the problem we want to resolve here, and how we can do it? And then if we have to think of a framework, and I love the way you put it in your white paper, the first is the quick wins. And then after the quick wins, you'll have, how to develop a competitive edge, and then the transformation. But if we focus right now on the quick wins, is optimization. How do we optimize things we do on a daily basis? How do we, for example, for us, we analyze a lot of data. We analyze a lot of data from companies' annual reports. How can we use AI to simplify this process? How can we use AI to actually analyze very quickly very long annual business reports very quickly? And it is very doable now. So now the next step is, okay, how do we automate that process? But there's so many things we can do that can make our life easier. Another example of things we're doing now is we have big briefings, and how do we turn this briefing that we write into blog post, very quick, very easy, so then we can post on social media and just reach out to a bigger audience. And things like, how can we do it in different languages? Because we're an international company. So now we have this power of turning a briefing into a blog post, putting on different social media and turning into different languages and just increase this audience. So that's a quick win. This is how we can optimize our business very quickly using AI.
Yeah, but I think, that's right. I think we see a lot of teams accessing this type of technology, but they are not differentiating. They are not creating differentiation because everybody has access to this, right? So even if you're not using open tools like OpenAI, like ChatGPT, they're relatively cheap. They deliver incremental productivity, so it's pretty low risk, right? But I think when people are getting the directive to say, go on and find out what type of AI we should implement in the business to be better or to optimize the business. This is when it becomes a little bit more complicated, because I think the complexity is higher and the reward or the ROI, the results you expect are much bigger,
higher.
Right?
So how do we accelerate? So I see it as the framework as OAT. We optimize. This is what we just spoke about. Mm-hmm. The second one that what you're asking now is to accelerate the business. How do we improve our current product and services? So how do we find our competitive edge? Mm-hmm. And then the third one will be to transform. We can talk about that later, but talking about accelerating the business, how can we change our product, services? How can we become different for our competitors? This is all about understanding the use cases and giving priority to the one we need at the moment. Which user case would put us in that position of competitive edge where we earn that? So for us right now, what we're looking at is, for example, creating a chatbot, an agent that can answer on the spot question to clients. Clients has a query, the agent can answer that. Here, what it means is we're accelerating the business, we are changing it, we're improving it. And it takes a lot of time, but more importantly, and here's probably one of the biggest challenge, it takes a lot of different skills. In the past, you were building a team, you would need a team of engineers. So you would look for one skill, or data science, you would take data scientists and you have a team of, for data science. Here, what we're looking at today is very different. It's changing completely the way HR needs to think about recruitment. Yeah. Because if you want a team that accelerates your business using AI, what do? You need people who can understand AI. You need people who can get the buying from all the stakeholders. So someone with really good soft skills, who can communicate well, can understand what the business needs, position the AI as a solution. You need someone who is very strategic, who understand how we can elevate this solution. So suddenly you need to create a team that is multidisciplinary. You need, in the ideal world, you need someone from, data science, you need someone who's an engineer, you need someone from sales, you need someone from different department. And that is really tricky because we are completely shifting the way we're working.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you talk about having people that can drive the adoption and getting a stakeholder commitment, buy into the projects, right? So I guess in a way, this is more of a business project with the focus of using a certain type of technology, right? There was on the research that we did to produce the white paper, we try to understand how companies can understand or create or have a clear ROI on the investments, because these tools aren't cheap, right? So if you go to the software vendors and you want to implement a tool that affects, hundreds of people, it'll be expensive, right? So I think the key elements when you bring a multi-skilled team, I think the key elements are to make sure that you understand the business really well. So the business process, not just one isolated business process, but the flow of data across the business for, let's say, customer experience, for instance. The really pinpointing on those use cases that can generate quick wins, that can generate a clear ROI. If, like what you're saying, and we're doing a lot of projects in this regard where we are implementing AI assistants that are available 24/7 and that can help clients to have access to support or to services much faster. It's not just the assistant that needs to be, the digital assistant that needs to be implemented. You need to implement the team that will manage the knowledge of the business. So that means that you really need to understand the processes, you really need to understand and document processes, policies, ways of working. So the tools have the knowledge, right? And when we talk about the second type of projects that are beyond the quick wins, that are optimization driven to create a competitive edge, what do you think you find is the hardest or the biggest challenge or the biggest barrier to get to the point where that is delivering value to the business?
What I see in different companies also around is people tend to work in silo. You have different departments. You have the tech department and you have the sales department, and everyone tends to work in silo. But that doesn't work with this framework. You can't have, if you want to understand the business of the world, if you want to find a solution, because it's a business solution that we're looking for here, that we're trying to solve, such as, for example, the chatbot is a good example. You can't just have tech on one side and a different department on the other side and data science on a different side. It cannot work this way. It's really about bringing people together. And that is a really big challenge because companies tend to work very much in departments, in silo. This is how we do. Now, one thing about AI that is changing the way we work, and I think this is really true for project managers in general, is AI is making our life easier in terms of documentation, how to document processes. It used to be quite painful before. Now with AI, we can simplify this approach. And this is a quick win. Documentation using AI is quick wins. But once you're good at this, once you're able to document, to basically build your knowledge base, because you have documentation on all your processes, then you create this knowledge base. And then once you have a well-established knowledge base, then it becomes much easier for the team to work together because you have this knowledge base where we can pick information from, where we can collaborate better. So the quick win will be document, use AI to document. And then if we're looking at moving forward into this, how to accelerate it and find our competitive edge, this is where you have this knowledge base that can be accessed by different people, different teams. And it's really about working together. Collaboration is key. If you have the greatest idea, but you can't work in collaborate with different teams, you're never going to get the buy-in of the different stakeholders. And if you don't get the buy-in, you're stuck.
It's interesting because it's not just about, so obviously, bringing teams together and getting people to work towards that objective is super important, right? Because ultimately, great projects are delivered by people that really want to do cool stuff. You need to be able to have that spirit, right, of collaboration. But you also need to have the tools, right? Because as much as you want to do something great, if you don't have the right tools, you're going to be limited in your ability to deliver on something that is amazing, right? So, and I think this is where the conversations that we're having with clients are really interesting, because people can definitely see it. They can see the benefit of implementing a dynamic knowledge base, self-service, AI bots. We call them AI bots, but they're digital assistants, right? Which is the term that is probably more appropriate. They can totally see it. So that's the team, right? But now we need to find and source and implement technology pieces that they are not too complicated, but they still require quite a high level of understanding, technical know-how. All of these tools need to be integrated into the systems that hold transactional data, customer data, business process data, etc. So bringing that together, I think, is a very we were having this conversation yesterday. Is a little, you said it's a little bit 50%. How was it? 50% art and 50% a method, right?
Yes, we can't think that AI is going to change everything and is going to do it all. It doesn't work like that. And it's to go back about this conversation we just had about accuracy. Oh, we want something accurate, sure, but what does it mean accurate? It means you leave the AI do the job and you leave it as it is. It doesn't work like that. This is not where we get to the greatest solution. If you want a product that works, you need to mix the AI with the human intelligence, the HI. So we're combining two things here. And all the solutions should be like that. It's a combination of science and arts. Science is the AI, is the model, is the LLM. And then art is us, the people, the knowledge. And it's by combining both that you get to the greatest solution.
I think that's a really interesting observation, because a lot of the software manufacturers that are pushing AI products, I think they failed in their education piece.
I agree.
Yeah, they all of their material makes you think that the AI assistants or the AI tools will do everything and you won't do anything. When in reality, it's actually a tandem, right? Someone that can help you, like a normal assistant, will help you accelerate your work so you can focus on the more meaningful, more complicated tasks, whilst the repetitive, easy tasks will be done by a machine.
By your assistant, your digital assistant.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So it's the same principle.
It's the same principle. And I think Microsoft, they were quite clever by calling the AI co-pilots. Because it is what it is. It's a co-pilot. You remain the pilot of the plane, and then you have a co-pilot.
Yeah.
And we need to remember that, because they're not going to the AI is not going to do everything. It has to be a combination of...
Yeah. And this is why, for instance, you have certain levels of accuracy that you can leave for the AI assistants to deliver. Copilot particularly, at least in my experience, has let me down, because I still have to review all the meeting notes and all of these things. But when you publish these type of tools to the public, like in customer service, for instance, you do need accuracy. So when there is a risk for inaccuracy, or when there is a risk of not having the right answer, the system needs to be intelligent enough to identify that it can't answer that question, and then hand over, open a case and hand over to a human agent. And that's the tandem. Yes. That's the tandem that we're looking for, right? We also talked about, I think in the roundtables there was a lot of conversation around where do we put the money in, like into what type of projects. Obviously, the quick wins are easy things that you can buy with a credit card, right? That the teams can use on a day-to-day basis. But the other two projects, the optimization projects and the transformative projects, they require a much higher levels of investment, right? So we talked about a pace-layered architecture where you classify systems in three categories: systems of record, systems of differentiation, and systems of innovation. And they are classified based on their core functionality, the frequency at which they evolve, the lifespan of the systems, the development approach, and the focus, right? The majority systems of record will be your typical ERP system, HR system, CRM system, which the best practice or in that space is already implemented in the platform. Systems of innovation will be plug and play systems that have a very high churn rate and that you can plug into your core systems until a better one comes along, and then you change to a better product. Systems of differentiation is where you will invest your digital intellectual property your human intellect in developing technological tools that make you better and different. But AI can actually sit across any of these, right? When do you invest in developing your own AI-driven tools? Probably in systems of differentiation. Whilst in other areas, like systems of innovation, is where you can take advantage of things like the AI assistants that we're seeing all over the place, right? So I think something that is quite interesting is how the concept of an AI assistant is becoming more embedded into the way business operate, because it's a really easy concept to understand, right? What do you need from organizations to make sure that these assistants are delivering value and they are worth, investing in? What do you think is the pre-requirement from the businesses to make sure that that investment is going to pay off?
For me, there's two different things from a business. The number one is education, educating your workforce, everyone. If you create an AI-ready culture in your company, then it will be easier to start introducing new tools and asking, people to experiment and find solution. Number two is managing your knowledge base. If you are able to have a solid knowledge base in place as a business, then your chatbot will work. You'll find the right answer. Internally, you find a solution. You can easily, get this information from your knowledge base. But that is very important, and actually it's really difficult to manage a knowledge base. We don't have a knowledge base manager.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? How do we make sure that all this knowledge we have, and we have to think about big companies with different offices around the world, different teams. So there's so much knowledge and so much skills spread around the world. How do we combine this in one place where we can easily find information? So for me, really two things for a company to succeed is this. Manage your knowledge base. This is very important because it will help save a lot of time in terms of how we work. And it will also promote collaboration. If you want the team to collaborate, have a place.
So the right teams, the right people working together.
Yeah. Otherwise, the information stay with the human. In Brazil, you don't want that. You want to be able to access this information now. So managing a knowledge base. And then education is very important because, again, if you have the perfect idea and the perfect user case and you know exactly what you should be doing and you have the perfect tool that works exactly how you want, but you don't have the AI culture, you're going to get stuck because you won't get the buy-in for a lot of people. You won't get the excitement as well from people to use the tool, and you're going to get stuck. We need to remember something quite important. Here, what's happening is it's almost like a revolution. We are changing completely the way we're working and with whom we're working, Today, we need to work with everyone across the business, data science, catalysts, people we never worked with before. So we need to change this mindset. But the thing is, changes are difficult. Some people, they don't want to change. They love the way they do things. And it's very hard to tell a company of thousands of employees, today we need to change.
Yeah.
So that mindset,
Yeah, I think that it takes time for you to evangelize internally the benefits of integrating that type of technology.
Demystify AI, because a lot of people think, whoa, AI is very complicated. It's about coding and engineering. No, it's not. It's about making strategic decision. It's about understanding how we can tap into a new innovation that will help us work better. What can we do today that we couldn't do tomorrow? That's the question we need to be asking ourselves every day. And it's very important.
I think it's also really interesting, and I wrote an article on this, and is on my LinkedIn profile. The importance of knowledge management is never been as important as it is today. Absolutely. Yeah, because when we talk about generative AI, I mean, almost everything we're talking about here is Gen AI is specific. companies have a way of operating. Their status quo is non-documented, right? So a policy or a process for validating a discount to a client, a policy for human resources to give exceptions on time off or pay or benefits, etc. So HR tends to have a lot of things documented, but business processes, very little, very, very little. And a lot of the status quo processes that companies operate on cannot be leveraged by AI because the AI has nowhere to feed from in terms of knowledge. So incorporating knowledge management, the knowledge management practice in the business is the foundation of utilizing Gen AI, right? So in some of the tools that we work with, for instance, Salesforce, they brought up the Agentforce, the new products that you can implement on Salesforce. Those products the value of those products are multiplied when they have all of the data structured in the right way, in the right place. So the structure of the system provides the context for the AI to work properly. If companies have done the right job at managing that data in their CRM implementations, they are going to get a lot of value out of the AIs, right? Same thing with products like Zendesk. If you have a very powerful knowledge base where you can structure pretty much anything that happens in the business, what ends up happening is that very large teams of customer service agents can benefit from expanding their capacity, to a 24/7 capability by integrating AI assistants. But a lot of the people, or a percentage of the people that are in those teams, need to focus on generating the know-how, that the knowledge that the AI need to respond to questions. So I think this is going to be an interesting shift to see how organizations that want to use this type of technology can create new teams and new roles and functions within the business to generate that type of know-how, right? Where do you think we're going? What's next? What are the things that you think we should be able to be doing in the short term?
What's next? The genie is out of the bottle now. There's no way back, so we can only move forward. What's next is just, understanding better. The AI is going to get better, as models are getting better. It's AI, Gen AI is fascinating because it's the one only product that gets better by itself. The model produces something, you don't like it, you prompt it again, it gets better results. So it's the one thing that gets better by itself. It's incredible when we think about it. So as things will get better, easier, more established, I think the next step would be for us to understand, but what does it mean in terms of the impact, what the ethical use of it, the impact on the environment is a question we need to start asking ourselves, because we're going to use it more. There's no using less, there's using more. It gets better, we use it more. So we need to think about what it means ethically, environmentally, and so on. So all those questions need to be asked, and we need to think about it. Google just spent a lot of money on a new AI campus here in London, actually. So what it means, the next generation of kids finishing the sixth form now, so, teenager, they will be so fluent in AI because they will come up from the AI campus. And that is fascinating because it really shows that it's moving at a really fast. So now is the next question. Now we build the machine. If we have to compare Gen AI to a car, the car came out and it was just a car. And it's only after that we have to think about, but we need a seat belt for safety, and you need insurance, and then you need the seat for the kids. But everything came after the car. Yeah. So here's the same. Your Gen AI is your car. Now it's there, is driving pretty well, and it's getting faster and faster and faster. So now we need to think about all the safety nets, the belt and everything else.
Yeah, I think safety is definitely a big thing. You need to be able to do it safely for the user, the organization, the client, the stakeholder that you're servicing. I think one of the things that the more advanced organizations have is the security guardrails around prompt injection and all of the things that make AI a risk. And also where the data is held and how is that data managed and so forth. I really like the trust layer built by Salesforce and the principles under which it works, because you can tell the people behind have given great amounts of thought to what it means for it to be safe and how to reduce or mitigate the risks of not implementing it safely, right? So I think we're probably running out of time, but it's a really interesting conversation. I think the white paper that we were able to publish was quite insightful. So I invite all the listeners to download that white paper when possible. And thank you very much, Johanna, for your collaboration today. Hope to hear more from you.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me today.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.